Welcome back to Counting the Cost, the new weekly business show from Al Jazeera. Don't forget, you can always catch all the latest business and economic news on aljazeera.net/English by clicking the business link on the left-hand side of the page. Now, one of the first things US President Barack Obama promised on taking office was to do more to convince the world that the US is serious about tackling climate change. And there are signs that he's going to keep to this promise. Shihab Rattanzi has more from Washington, D.C. Shihab?
Thanks. Build fuel-efficient cars. That's the message from US President Barack Obama to the country's struggling auto industry. Obama says he's keeping his pledge to do more to control emissions in his country, one of the largest polluters in the world. He's ordered tough new national standards to cut emissions and increase gas mileage. Obama says the standards would reduce US dependence on foreign oil and give 5 years of cost certainty to an industry battling to survive.
The fact is, everyone wins. Consumers pay less for fuel, which means less money going overseas and more money to save or spend here at home. The economy as a whole runs more efficiently by using less oil and producing less pollution. And companies like those here today have new incentives to create the technologies and the jobs that will provide smarter ways to power our vehicles.
The president's new rules will mean that each car will cost consumers an average of $1,300 more. Yet his announcements come at a time when ailing American auto giants Chrysler and General Motors are desperately trying to reduce costs. They've already decided to eliminate hundreds of car dealerships across the United States. Chrysler sending out letters to nearly 800 dealers, informing them they will have to close their doors in June, adding thousands more to the unemployment list. Rick Schaub received one of those letters. He tells us what it's like to close shop after more than 60 years in business.
My name is Rick Schaub. I'm General Manager and President of Montrose Dodge in Germantown, Maryland.
Thank you for calling Montrose Dodge, your 5-star dealer.
This represents my lives and 3 generations of my family. It's our sole source of income. We're a single point dealer. We have no other car dealerships. This Thursday, we received a letter from Chrysler Corporation that effective June 9th, we will no longer be a franchised Dodge dealer. This is something that is devastating to my business and my employees. At this point in time, Dodge is, they allege, because of the bankruptcy courts, they cannot buy back the vehicles. And that's going to be a huge burden that's probably going to lead to bankruptcy for me, because I currently have $2.5 million worth of cars on the lot. The result of this means we have to shift from basically having a new car franchise to just selling used cars, and hopefully rely on that and our service operation and body shop. Even though it's not my fault, clearly, I feel bad that the ship went down on my watch.
Kevin here, the internet leads for last night.
And I know that I have a lot of employees that rely on me and our business here for their incomes and livelihoods. So that's one of the most difficult parts to me, is to possibly have to let people go. This is the first building where my grandfather started. It's actually on the same street. My grandfather started this business right after the war, approximately 1945. And I think if he were around today, I just don't think he could bear the thought of, everything that he started and worked so hard for just vanish in a moment.
Rick Schaub in Germantown, Maryland, who's losing his employees' livelihoods and his own to the crash in the US car industry. That's all from here in Washington. Let's return to Doha.
Thanks, Shihab. And here in the Middle East, oil-rich countries in the Arabian Gulf have been debating a monetary union similar to the European Union for years. After initially setting a deadline for 2011, cracks have now begun to appear between member nations. The United Arab Emirates has decided to withdraw from the union. While others have pledged to move ahead, analysts say questions are being asked about the viability of the project without the participation of the Gulf's second-largest economy. Owen Fay explains.
The announcement came with no explanation or clarification, just a simple statement that the United Arab Emirates is out. And that means plans to forge a common currency here in the Gulf are all but dead. And while various governments are already pledging to push forward even without the Emirates and its wealthy cities of Abu Dhabi and Dubai, it's difficult to see if it would ever work. That's because without the second largest economy in the region taking part, there is no way a common currency could be said to be truly representative of the region's economic power. That realization, in turn, is leading to speculation that the Emirati government has made this decision because it feels snubbed. By definition, a common currency must have a central bank acting on behalf of all the member states. The Emiratis wanted the bank's headquarters to be here, arguing they have the economic clout and exposure to justify it. But a few weeks ago, the other nations in the GCC voted for the Saudi capital of Riyadh instead, a move believed to have infuriated the Emiratis. Economically, however, financial analysts wonder how the UAE can make this decision to go it alone. In the past year, this country has been hit especially hard with the global economic slowdown. Dubai is in particularly bad shape, with housing prices down roughly 40% from a year ago, and the city itself needing an emergency bailout of billions of dollars from Abu Dhabi to cover the worst of its losses. Other nations like Qatar remain determined to press ahead. This country is in better shape than most, though ambitious expansion plans have had to be curtailed somewhat. Should this latest move kill off plans for a single currency entirely, economies like this one won't be devastated, as most of them remain pegged to the dollar. But what they will lose out on is the chance to speak on global economic affairs with one voice, an advantage which nobody here wants to give up, and the argument of persuading the Emiratis to rejoin the common currency once they get over this perceived snub. Owen Fay, Al Jazeera.
That's it from me, Lauren Taylor, this week on Counting the Cost. We'll be back again at the same time next week.